Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. We welcome into the Garden Report midweek edition here. Duane Rankin from the Arizona Republic as the Celtics get ready for a couple games over the next couple weeks here against the Suns, who for the first time this season, Duane, finally turning a corner. I had high hopes for this team. I like the moves they made over the summer. But wow, they've been one of the more interesting teams in the league for all the wrong reasons, I'd say, this year.
Right.
What are you looking forward to tomorrow? And what should Celtics fans expect from the Suns?
I mean, first, just the challenge of playing Boston. I mean, I know Jason Tatum, the ankle, and he may or may not play. I know obviously the injury report will come out later here, which will be later for you all on that end. I've heard himself in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
But one I was looking forward to, if he plays, the Tatum Durant deal is always intriguing to watch because Tatum is the one that's established himself as a great player in this league, and Kevin has been one for going on 2 decades. So I'll always love seeing that matchup. That's the first thing. If it doesn't happen, Boston is still Boston. They play a style, they get up threes, and so when you're playing against that, the Suns got to be on their P's and Q's defensively. So to me, that's a big thing. Like the Suns in the last 4 games on this win streak, they're like 11th in defensive rating. You go to the whole season, they're like 26. So they've made in terms of the improvements and how they're playing on that end, has been significant. But that will be tested when you're playing Boston. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. Can the Suns maintain this defensive high level of play against a team that can just light it up? So that's the first. That's the main thing for me when I look at the way the Suns are playing defensively. They're flying around. They're being more active. They're playing rookies. They're playing. You got a 2-way guy starting at point guard. So they got a lot that they have changed up, and it's working. So now it becomes, can it continue to work against a team that is the defending NBA champs? And to me, they're still the measuring stick, and they still would be the favorite coming out of the East. I know what Cleveland's done. I know the Knicks are better, have improved, but Boston is the team to beat. So the Suns is a good point. And the Suns got to win. They cannot afford slip-ups. And, Boston's not going to just lay down for them and go, oh, okay, we know y'all need wins to stay in the play-in chase. So it makes for an interesting matchup in their last game of their homestand.
Yeah, and a lot of interesting stuff going around Boston right now as well. The Tatum thing, they're locked into the 2 seed, so they don't have a ton to play for right now, but they're still rattling off wins, 6 in a row coming into this one,
Right.
And still have the ability to win without Tatum, as they did late in that game against Sacramento there where he went down. But Jaylen still dealing with some stuff. Rest still a priority for them as well. So I'm sure some other guys might be out of this game, or who knows who's going to be available. We'll have an injury report by the time this comes out here. But Durant's going to be out there, and he's been playing out of this world recently. And I'm excited to see him, obviously from afar in this game, and then obviously when they come out to Boston next week, because you still have this guy here in Phoenix who's in the later stages of his career.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen with him beyond this season. Obviously, at the deadline, there's a lot of talk about him going back to Golden State and a little bit about Miami and all these different things going on around there. And yet he still seems pretty committed to the situation, is still playing at that highest level when he's out there. And I don't know what to think of him at this stage of his career and, where he's at in Phoenix at this point, because he's one of the best players in the league still. He's probably going to make All-NBA this year, but you don't know where he's going to be beyond this year, and you don't know where this team's at with him at the center of it. Like when he arrives there, there's so much hope for this franchise, and even that first run with him there was a pretty good one, going against Denver and all of that. But, just a couple of years later here, it hasn't really moved beyond that point. In fact, it feels like it's gone backwards at this point to where, if Dallas doesn't suffer all these injuries, this team might not even make the play-in.
Right. No question. Kevin's, when you're watching him play, it's such an interesting dynamic with him. And, he went at Doc Rivers a little bit, former Boston Celtics head coach, after the game, because I guess, Doc in his pregame was saying, Kevin's, he's always getting better, even in this late stage of his career. His 3-point shooting is better. And Kevin goes, he didn't think I was a good 3-point shooter before? So it's like, oh, God. So, Kevin finds stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he finds stuff that getting that you get under his skin, it feels like sometimes. But look, he shot 7 of 9 from 3 last night. Just on fire. His last 3 was huge. They gave him the lead there late, 26.2 seconds left in the game. So it's the catch and shoot 3 that, for a guy that's 7 feet, that's a pretty hard play to defend. And and Budenholzer is all about, obviously with you being out there, seeing how Budenholzer coached in the East with
Milwaukee there. Yeah.
It's all about spacing. Like he got the boxes on the court doing practice. Like it's all about spacing. And right now the spacing is where Kevin Durant catch and shot. And I would take my chances with Kevin Durant catch and shoot, because you're not going to block the shot. And more than 9 out of 10, you're not going to get a great contest on it because he's already up here and he's got this high release anyway. So he can still get you off the dribble. He can still post up. But catch and shoot is a situation now where when you look at the way the team is playing, they're spreading teams out, and Devin Booker becoming more of the playmaker. Like, he's had double-digit assists here for a good stretch of these last few games. That's leading to, okay, who is he passing it to? He's passing it to Kevin Durant. And now they're putting the defense in this predicament. Okay, if you double Devin, you're kicking to Kevin. Double Kevin, he's kicking it to Devin. And the 3 guys around them have figured out, you know what, if we're in our right spots, we're going to get great shots for those 2. Though they're the focal point of the offense, even more so now with Brad being out. So now when you're defending them, the other 3 guys are like, okay, if I'm wide open, I'm shooting. If I'm not, I'm passing. Even if I am wide open and Kevin Durant's open, I'm passing to Kevin Durant. And so their offense just is running a lot smoother now in terms of getting good shots. And they're not always shooting a high percentage, but coupled with the defense being better, they don't have to. Whereas before, they didn't score 120, 130. It was an L. Like, it was an automatic L. And even if they did, it still was sometimes an L. So now with the defense and the spacing being much better, it allows Kevin to be, okay, you know what? I don't have to shoot this 55, 56%. I don't have to do that. I can take 20 some odd shots and be good and not have to worry about, okay, well, I'm not making shots right now because they are defending. And so that's where I sense his play is better around this stretch of time because of how they're playing on defense and how they're spacing the floor on offense. But as far as his future goes, it's such an interesting deal because he went from Mat Ishbia saying we love Kevin before the season to then entertaining trading him for the deadline. So now you're like Kevin's people. They're people like, whoa, what is this? So unless they do something miraculous in the playoffs, or even correction, they got to get in first.
Yeah.
And if they do something crazy in the playoffs, maybe you're rethinking it, but it just feels like he's gone, and it just makes you go, wow. Because you mentioned the point about that first year when he got traded. I think they were 3-0. He had a game winner against Dallas, and at Dallas, and you're like, wow, like this is crazy.
Here we go.
Yeah, here you go. You know, they've got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. This is about to be something crazy. Then he slipped and fell in that pregame workout with the ankle. And it's been crazy ever
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was
been crazy ever since.
That was such a wild start to his time there. Yeah, and it did set up what would come. So Suns sold. They trade for Durant right after the sale there. Ishbia, all that. We know the story there.
Right.
Celtics just sold last week. we're obviously in this new era, and obviously there's a factor here with all this Durant stuff and the BO trade talks and all that. It's, luxury tax payments, massive salaries for both these franchises. I look at going into next year, 225 for the Celtics, 219 for Phoenix, and that's 10, 11 guys. You still got to fill out a roster beyond that. And you're going to just have these massive, massive tax hits for both these teams. The second apron, obviously, a factor here too. There's not a lot of roster flexibility, trade flexibility for either of these teams because of that. And Wick Grossbeck goes on the radio out here, a couple of days ago and says, I don't think any team's going to be in the second apron for more than a year or two here. It's just not going to be something that teams do. Right. So, I have my question. Is it tax? Is it apron? I think that's a, question to ask there in terms of what teams are going to do. But for Phoenix, this tax, obviously Ishbia's got the money. He's got the ability to stay in that level if they want to. Right. The roster restrictions a little dicier for them. But, as Boston looks ahead at being one of this, most expensive teams in the NBA and all these second apron limitations, I do look at Phoenix and say, all right, this is the downside to a lot of that, ending up in a spot like this, even if you're keeping your most expensive guys.
Yes. And the difference is Boston's investments are in younger players. And that they're going to continue to win with those younger guys, Tatum, Brown. But when you look at the Suns, Bill's older, Durant is older than Bill, and then Devin, even though he's 28, he's 10 years in the league. You know what I mean? Like this is an older 28-year-old player. Like he came in at 18. So, and then if you're looking at Bill with the no trade clause, that's making it even like, wow, like if that no trade clause wasn't there, the movement would have happened. You know what I'm saying? But because he got the no trade clause, it's like you have to, you look back at trades that they made, the Bill trade with Chris Paul, we know Chris was older than all of them. And then, they didn't want to pay him that last part of his deal, but Chris Paul's still playing. Like he's literally still on the court. Like Bill, they can't get 50 games, 55 games out of him. Like he's hurt now.
Yeah.
So when you make that deal, it's like, he's averaging like 17, and he probably was going to average that being a third option. But it's like got to be on the court. They're playing a two-way player at point guard right now in Colin Gillespie because Bradley Beal was hurt. Now Colin's a scrapper. He's playing well. He's fitting in and he's doing his job, and they're winning with it. So they're like, okay, we're rolling with this right now. But when you think about the trade back then, and now you fast forward to now, you're like, wow, like you're not getting the what they would think they would get out of that trade. And then the Ayton trade, you look at that one. The guy they traded for, he's not even there anymore. They traded him. So you didn't even keep him for more than 2 seasons, 2 full seasons. You traded Nurkic. And you wasn't getting much out of Nurkic in terms of the production you thought you were going to get. And then it's like you ended up trading for Nick Richards. And then so you have a big now. Okay, they ended up getting one. But look at what you went through to get to that point. And when if you stick with Ayton another year with Vogel, maybe you have a better year and Vogel's still your coach. So you end up firing Vogel. Like every move led to another move or impacted another move. That's why you had 3 coaches in 3 years. That's why you traded away and brought in guys that either aren't there anymore or aren't playing because they're hurt. That really hurts your team, and it's factored into why they're, like you say, they're battling for a 10th seed. If you would have told me before the season that the Phoenix Suns with 11, 10 games left would be in this spot, I would go, come on, y'all. Really? Like that's not happening. But it is happening right now. Crazy.
So new owner, Ishbia, everyone knew who he was coming in.
Right.
The money situation with him, he's got the funds there to be able to finance a team like this. In Boston's case, we're all wondering, all right, who is this guy? Bill Chisholm. How much does he have here? Is this deal even going to go through? There's so many questions we have here, but obviously Phoenix going through this most recently there. What are you looking for in a process like that? And what comes with a new owner? Obviously, seeing the changes that went down in Phoenix once he took over.
Well, first, he's going to do it his way. Obviously, he spent the money to get the team, so he's going to do it his way. And also, he is completely hell bent on winning the title, and it figuring like I got to do whatever it takes. If that means firing a coach, fire the coach. If that means trading away guys, that means making the trades. If that means spending over the apron, that's what it means. If that means kicking this luxury hits when you re-sign Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, that's what they're going to do. So he's going full out. Kevin Durant talked about it before the trade deadline. He was like, at least you got a guy that's trying to win. The question now becomes, okay, when do you start looking at it and going, do you shift your mindset, or do you continue this path of not caring about the draft picks? You're trading away first round pick. Now, Kevin, but all hindsight 2020. But when you look at it and you go, okay, you're going to get Kevin Durant and you gave away those picks. Okay, you're getting Kevin Durant. So you're like, all right. But once you start dealing more and more, you start looking back on it, it's like, and he gets picks and then he trades picks. You know what I mean? Like he gets them.
He got no picks left.
Right. And he goes, well, okay, I'll trade him. And so it's like, that's where you're at with him. Like, and the crazy part about this, when I think about the draft picks, is the two rookies that they got in the draft are helping them win right now. It just speaks to that you can get quality in the draft. You can get what you need to help you win in the draft. And there's a mix there that maybe he'll find someday where, it's okay to draft. But I get it. You want to have guys, you want to go after the big name guys or big salary guys or guys you think they can help you win right now. But also Iguodala, as a rookie, is playing better than Mason Plumlee, who's a vet minimum. So you're asking yourself, okay, what do you want? Do you want the vet minimum? Or do you want a draft pick that can come in and help give you that energy, give you youth? And that's what also Iguodala and Ryan Dunn has done. They've come in and given them energy, and Dunn is the defensive guy. So let's just say Tatum does play. You can best believe that Brian Dunn will probably get a shot at guarding Jason Tatum. And if Jaylen Brown plays, he'll get a shot at guarding Jaylen Brown. So what that does is that allows Devin Booker, you know what, I don't got to guard one of these guys. Kevin Durant. Well, maybe I don't have to guard one of them. I don't have to guard both of them in a certain situation. So now Dunn alleviates that pressure. Now, God bless him, getting Cody Martin in that trade with Nurkic, that's working right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Budenholzer, his rotation. He likes it tight. He don't like veering too far out of his 8 to 9 man comfort zone. And he's having to do that right now. And once Bill comes back, they played 10 players last night. Bill come back, do you play 11? Like that would, like for Budenholzer, that's like pulling hair off the back of the neck. Like it's just like, ouch, But with this particular team, he hadn't had a Milwaukee team where he had 7 guys that were woof. And he had, he was kind of splitting hairs with the 8th guy. Doesn't have that squad like that here. So he has to adapt. And he's done it, but will he continue to do it? As long as they're winning, I'm believing that he will. But Ishbia's his mode, I think, will always be win a title unless they hit just complete bottom. Then he might go, all right, you know what? We got to change it up. But right now he's in that mode, and I don't see him changing no time soon.
I do want to look ahead to what's going to happen with Durant here in just a second here, but first I want to let the people know about Game Time.
This episode is also powered by Game Time, the best place to get tickets to the games, events, and concerts you want to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Game Time is filled with terrific features like all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much you're paying. No surprise fees at checkout. You also get panoramic views from your seats in the app, so you know exactly what you'll be looking at before you buy. Plus, a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Once again, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. What time is it? It's game time.
Yep, and if you're out in Phoenix for this game tomorrow, late night one out in the East Coast, but I'm sure a lot of Celtics fans are going to be out there for that one or live out there as they do in a lot of these cities. So go check out Game Time for the tickets out there and use that code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Baseball coming back as well. You got hockey playoffs coming up. You got concerts going on. It's almost that time as well. And all of it's available out there on Game Time. So again, download it, create an account, use that code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase, and check out Prize Picks as well. Great time over there as well with all the sports going on, spring, everything's going on. You can combine leagues, players here. It's daily fantasy, and you just pick 2 or more players, pick more or less on their stat projections, and you are off and can win, up to many times your money over here over on your picks. And again, be able to combine leagues, flex play. You got a lot of great features over there on the Prize Picks app. And when you play $5, you'll get $50 instantly over there. Again, with that code CLNS. You think Giannis is going to go more? You think Booker, Durant going to go more in their totals in this game? I don't think we're going to see Tatum tomorrow, so it might be a good opportunity for Brown to go more on his scoring as well in this Phoenix-Boston game. So go check out the Prize Picks app. I like to just go see what they think people are going to score on any given night over there, rebounds, assists, all that. So that's why I usually go check out the app. And again, if you use CLNS, play 5, get $50 instantly over there, and they'll know we sent you. So check out Prize Picks, run your game. So in terms of the Celtics here, I don't know what to expect out of this owner here. He's hyping up his fandom here, that they're going to do what it takes to raise banners. And then, of course, he gets asked about spending, and it's like, we'll see what Wick has in share. And that's the other thing, too. The difference here between this sale and Phoenix's sale is, Sarver goes out the door, and it's Ishbia's show. He's running things. He's directing a lot of these moves. He has a heavy hand in what's going to go on here. In Boston, there's the talk of, Wick's going to stay on for 3 years here while the full transition happens. You obviously have Brad, who's basically had autonomy to do what he wants, spend what he wants under the old group here. And, they've obviously extended pretty much everybody for years to come. And like you mentioned, Brown and Tatum are in a younger point in their careers where you're probably going to want to continue to build around them into the future. So that's probably going to require, whether it's this summer or the summer after that, downsizing the roster around them a little bit in terms of the cost there. And I don't know what this looks like. Like we saw Minnesota, they traded Towns. They brought back Randall, maybe like 80% of the player Towns is, and that's how they downsized a little bit. The Mavs just did what they did with Luka, and I don't know if that was a money thing or what that was. But looking back on it, but we've just seen some crazy trades since this new CBA went into effect here. So I'm wondering how likely it is that these expensive teams like Boston, like Phoenix, are going to be able to stay together much longer, even though their owners really want to win, as you mentioned. Right.
Again, I think the Suns they're in that fear in the road again. Okay, what do? Do you trade Kevin? Trade Brad?
Brad's got the no trade, so that's not going anywhere.
Trade. So do you try to find a spot you think Brad would be happy with, and then what do you get back in return? Or do you just stick with what you got, even though the season has been a disappointment? I mean, they have to make these calls here, and like they could trade Durant and get 2 guys.
Yep.
As far as the salaries and two rotational guys, kind of like Dallas with Washington and Gafford. get something like that. I'm not saying get those two particular. I'm just saying.
Even with
guys,
LA, they got Davis and Christie.
Right. Get
We'll
two
see.
guys that could start. That you put them in and they could start. Like you could do that, and then thinking of Booker in mind, and then if you can't move Bill, then Bill's a second option, which means it would be more shots. And maybe he is averaging 22, 23 points a game for you, and maybe Devin's numbers goes from 26 to 28. Maybe he becomes, the guy that really starts. But he's been in this sort of playmaker mode that's working for the Suns right now. So then you're wondering how that would even look. But I've talked with people and they're like, how are you even considering moving Kevin Durant?
It's unbelievable.
Like why are you like what is this? Like y'all. Are they serious? Like, are they serious? Are they like you're moving? Like, we get the age, and again, you can see he can still get to his spot. It just takes a little more to get there. It's not, OKC where he was somewhere else. Like literally, the defense is going, where'd he go? Like dude, this tall is supposed to be getting somewhere else that fast. Golden State, same thing. So like you're seeing. 37, 36, 36-year-old player, you're seeing it. Like he's not 26 anymore. But he went for 42 against the Cavs. He went for 38 against Milwaukee. So clearly he's still capable of putting up those kind of numbers. And he's like 7th in the league in scoring. So he's still one of the top players in the game. Like you said, he'll probably make all NBA, which would be going to be speak to how great he's been, considering they're going to probably have a losing record or barely above a winning record of at 500, they'd have to go on some crazy run to be at 500. So, yeah, I mean, it would be wild, but it would speak to how great a player he's been, that the voters would look at it and go, you know what, he's still great. It's not on him why the Suns are 35 and 37 right now. So, but just the mere thought of that makes you go like, wow, like that would be. And it just feels like that's going to happen. I don't have no insider on whether it will or not. Just based on who I've talked with, it just feels like that's where it's going. Now, what they get back for him may lead to what they end up doing or not doing. But, man, it would – when they got him, it was, they about to win a championship. Like, that's what the thought was here. Like, they about to win a championship this year. And you've gone from that to a losing record with Kevin Durant on your team, with Devin Booker. They got 2 Olympians and they got a losing record. Like that's what's so baffling for myself and people here. We're like, how is this possible? Like, how could you have these 2 players and you got a losing record? Like we know the West is tough. We understand that. But you got a losing record. Like there was a time when Portland was like, well, Portland might catch them. I mean, they dropped 2 in Portland. And you're like, they're losing to Portland? They lost to the Spurs without Wemby? They lost to the Raptors? Raptors hit 23. Like you're going like how this is going from bad to worse. They gave up 23s against the Raptors. And they have somehow found something that's working right now. And whether it continues or not, I don't know. But playing Boston, we're going to see. Like, they got all this momentum. Can you carry it over to a team? Boston's been on the road for how long? Like
3 games now.
Okay, so they got 2 more left or 3 more left?
3 more left. This is a 6-gamer.
Okay. But still, they've been out here. And I mean, when you're on the road, it's like, it's just not easy. Like, I get they got the charter planes and the 5-star hotels, and I get all that, but it's just not easy. And so, and even though they're playing well, you hit a wall at times on the road. And, if the Suns are like, you're sitting there watching them and you're going, how are they doing this now? Or better yet, when I was leaving the arena, I had I was an employee there, like security person or whatever, and they was like, "Where was this team 2 months ago?" I said, "They're asking the same question, okay? They're trying to figure that out. Where was this team 2 months ago? If they would have been playing like this 2 months ago, they wouldn't be in this situation. They'd probably be 4, 5, something like that. But honestly, they're working to try to get the 9 seed, so they don't have to play the 10-9-10 on the road. But in their mind, they're already thinking we got to win 2 games in the play-in to get to the playoffs, and then you're going to play OKC in the first round, who is, I think Shea scored 50 last time they played them, some ridiculous number. I mean, it's crazy.
Playing right now as it stands, if they do come in as the 10 seed there, you got to beat Sacramento, then you got to beat either the Clippers or the Timberwolves. So it's an uphill climb. And so they don't get into the playoffs potentially here. Durant becomes available again this summer, as you mentioned there. Obviously, the Golden State thing, that ship probably sailed at this point with Butler. That was an option. Miami, I don't know. I don't know how much they have to offer. That was obviously an option.
Right.
Houston, I can't ignore still.
Right.
Because they own the Phoenix picks. I think there's a ton of moves there and potential moves that make sense. So if I was going to put someone at the top of that ladder, and you mentioned 2 players coming back, maybe it's a Green and a Van Vliet or something in that case, or, whatever the salaries would have to be. You get 2 potentially starting level players coming back in that trade, plus your picks, and you can maybe start to reset things a little bit. So that deal makes a lot of sense, unless Houston just wants to keep rolling with what they have here. And that was obviously their mindset this season.
Right.
I can't see this one happening, but Durant becomes available, and it does pop into my head all the conversations we had in Boston here a handful of years ago about, all right, would you trade Brown for Durant?
Right.
And so, Brown just won Finals MVP. He and Tatum figured it out. They're still in position to win back-to-back championships here. But again, that question comes up for Boston, whether they win or not this summer. What are you going to do with this team long term with the money? I mean, we're talking $500 million here.
Right. I've seen it. This is crazy.
$500 million salary and tax for next year. And so it's like, all right, do you trade Holiday and get nothing back and just give up that money? Do you trade Porzingis, and just give up that money? Like, whatever move you're making along the edges there, you're getting nothing back. You're just getting that money savings. So I'm not advocating for this, but it is an idea.
You trade Brown for Durant?
You trade Brown for Durant.
Wow.
Durant's much older. You have injuries there last couple of years. You have all these questions. You don't even know how he and Tatum would play together. So it'd be a massive risk. And obviously, giving up on Brown would just, I think, send the fan base into a frenzy there. But you are getting back Durant, who's, obviously one of the best players of all time.
Ooh.
And he signed, 1 more year? So at that point, you have a little bit of money flexibility after next year. Maybe you keep him at a lower price after that. I don't know what the arrangement would be there at that point, but I mentioned all the crazy trades that have gone down, all the crazy ideas.
Ooh.
That one, I think, at least makes you stop and think if you're Boston. What are you thinking if you're Phoenix and that possibility comes along?
I mean, would Brown be making less money? Because the Suns got to bring back less money.
Durant makes like 53, I want to say, and Brown makes 51 next year, I want to say.
Well,
so it's close.
It's close. I mean, he's making less than okay. Then numbers would work. Wow. I'm thinking Jaylen. If you put
Booker, Jaylen, Beal.
Booker, Jaylen Brown, and Beal on the team. Basically, what you have then is you have basically Brown. I'm just thinking out loud right now. If you do that, then you could bring Bradley Beal off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you would have to have, I think Dunn is someone that now moving forward is probably going to start.
Yep.
I don't see how you just, I don't see how you just put him back on the bench. I just don't. the way he's playing. Because his shot will get better with just reps and just putting those moments where you got to make sure. He had a huge three late in the game last night, so he can hit. He can hit from there. He's just not shooting a high clip. So you're looking at that, and obviously you Richards. He would be your big, so you would need a 4, and they could find that. They could find that at 4. But maybe trading Bill. I've looked at situations where maybe you trade Grayson Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Royce are basically the same player in terms of what they're out there for. They're out there to shoot threes. Royce is a better defender. So maybe now. But on the flip side, Budenholzer loves Grayson Allen. I mean, he will mention Grayson Allen in an interview, and no one's asking about Grayson Allen. Like they'll be asking about the game. Well, coach, hey, so and so, and Grayson Allen. I'm like, whoa, wait, like something like Booker had like 25, and like you mentioned, I guess it's one of his guys, which is fine. He played for him in Milwaukee, but I'm always thinking, okay, how can they cut money? And so maybe that's one way you do that. Maybe you get a 4 out of that if you were to move Grayson. If you don't, Grayson's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. It's about spacing for Budenholzer. You keep him. So I'm not advocating trade Grayson Allen. I'm just saying that's when you're looking at, okay, what could you get if you wanted to have a 4, and then if you had Brown, Booker, and then if you have a point guard, or Booker could be your point guard. I mean, a Booker Brown backcourt with Dunn as a 3. Now you got
getting a little better defensively.
You got 2 special defensive players, and then Budenholzer can really get at what he's been wanting to get at, and that's being able to just play out on that perimeter and just get after people and funnel guys. And then you're hoping that Nick can get better as far as a defender, as far as it's coming over help and all that kind of stuff. And if you work with him, he probably could. He's athletic. Guy, 7-footer, so it's there in him. You just got to get it out of him. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds. I mean, look,
you have to think about it.
You have to think about it. And you know what's crazy about you saying that? I've had debates, and I've yielded on this. Like maybe 2-3 years ago, the people were talking with some Boston folks that I know, and I'm like, I would take Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum.
Really?
And they were like, "What? Like, no way! Like he's the guy." I'm like, I know, but I like the way Brown plays, and I know Brown's high school coach, Lipscomb. I used to cover Wheeler way back when Lipscomb was the head coach. So I've known Coach for a long time, and I'll tell people all the time when they ask me when I've been in this conversation, I'm like, I know where Jaylen Brown came from. Doug Lipscomb does not play. Mm-hmm. So when you see, I said, there's a reason that he plays like that. I said, Doug Lipscomb put and he creates dogs, and that's one of them. That's his greatest creation. As far as that, of course, he coached Sharif Abdur-Rahim and other NBA guys, but obviously Jaylen Brown has become the guy that he coached. So, but I've yielded. I see. Look, Jason Tatum's a hell of player. I mean, they were trying to get him to make it work here, but he could end up here, and pairing him up with Devin. They were like, whoa, they were like, if they can make that happen. Of course, Danny's slick with it, so he kind of. Didn't let that happen. But when you look at all that, it's like that would be very interesting. Jaylen Brown and Devin Booker. I mean, you got something with that. Wow.
Yeah. And if it's Durant and Tatum, it's something I've always wanted to see. Durant's one of my favorite players, growing up and watching him over the years and all that too. So there's always been that thought, like he almost ended up in Boston in that draft. There was that situation a couple of years ago. Even though, when he signed with Golden State, Boston was one of the finalists,
right.
With Isaiah and all of them there too. They got the meeting, and Olenek was down there with the tie-dye shirt and all that. Everyone remembers that. So there were like 3 times, Durant almost became a Celtic. And now could there be a fourth? Is it even a conversation? Is that something that comes up? I have to imagine that ship sailed for Boston with the championship and Brown becoming, a cornerstone piece for them. I mean, it's just unfathomable, whether it's the owner or Brad. I think Brad's married to that Tatum Brown duo. I think he wants to just keep those guys together and figure out the rest long term. Like, it would be a little incomprehensible if that ended up happening this summer. But this new rule thing here, like, you do have to think about every scenario, every possibility. And so does that pop into your head this summer? Again, I'm a no on it. I think Durant's just a little too old now, a little too far into his career. And what's your window at that point? 1-2 years with him? But maybe that allows you to keep White a little longer.
Out of it.
Yeah, no, maybe you get 3 championships in a row. And then, at that point, you're keeping White, you're keeping Porzingis, you're keeping some guys that are, a little more in line with Tatum at that point, money-wise and, all the rest there. And who knows what happens with Durant at that point. So I just want to bring it up, possibility, see what the people think here. Let us know below. I'd imagine there'll be a lot of no's to this on the Boston side. Again, I'm a no there too, but I want to bring it up. And he's Duane Rankin. He'll have coverage of the game tomorrow night, as will we. 10 o'clock start out here. We'll have post-game coverage on the Garden Report, CLNS Media, and Celtics All Access. Again, show our sponsors some love here. Game Time. Use the code CLNS over there. Let them know we sent you for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And the Prize Picks app, CLNS, play fit 5, get 50 over there. Again, thanks to Duane for stopping by for the first time here. We'll hopefully see you in Boston in a couple of weeks. Are you coming by?
Oh, yeah, I'm there. I'm always there.
Right. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to these games. Hopefully Tatum's back for that one, because again, can't imagine him playing on Wednesday after the ankle turn there, but we'll see. And again, thanks to everybody for tuning in here. It's been a midweek Garden Report, and we'll see you after the Suns game late night here on CLNS Media, Celtics All Access. Good night.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way. Let's
Yeah.
slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke